Hello, we are back for part two because yesterday I ended up going live and talking about money motivators when it comes to your gene keys and human design. And I got a lot of questions flooding in through it. So I wanted to come back and make sure that we circled around to the rest of the money motivators that are in your gene keys. If you are watching this one without watching the first, you're totally fine. I will most likely be explaining the gene keys a lot because I go live on TikTok while I do this as well. But your gene keys, if you're brand spanking new, are like a deep dive into your human design and astrology. And really, it like takes the information from your human design chart, kind of like a claw machine. It like that picks up the stuffed animals and it picks up all the really important placements and puts it over into this different chart, just so that you can understand yourself better. Like, what's the energy of your career? What's the energy of your life's purpose? Like, what is your money making gift? Like, what energy to tap into to have the best money making ideas? So what we'll be digging into today is your Pearl gene key. And like I said, there'll be questions that I'll be answering throughout this as well. But your Pearl gene key, if you've never ever looked up your gene key chart, make sure you go Google free gene key profile and type in your date, time, location of birth. And once you do that, 11 circles will come up on the gene key website. And it'll be like, what in the flippity flop is all this business? But hang in there with me if you're brand new, because each one of those circles means something different. I have a lot of different content on TikTok, on Instagram, where I teach about this stuff. And I just go live often because there's so little information out there about the gene keys, and especially not being shared in a way that's like easily consumable to like take 6 pages of information and turn it into an emoji, to turn it into a paragraph, to turn it into a way that like it clicks for you quickly. But what we'll be zooming in today, if you pull up that gene key chart, is the very, very center. And it's going to be, there's like a blue triangle at the top, and the very center of that blue triangle is called the Pearl. And that's what I call your money making gene key. That's the one that's like, whenever you're tapped into this energy, the best money making ideas come through for you. And so we'll be really zooming in on that number behind the decimal. So the very first part of this video that I recorded yesterday, I got to talking in between questions and stuff. I was talking about the point 1 and the point 2. So the point 1 was all about like that money motivator being simplicity. That money motivator, actually, these people can like manifest very easily, but they do like one thing after the next, where the point 2, if you have in your Pearl, there's the first number. And then if you have a point 2, that's they're really motivated by like recognition. And so I may cover this as I start my other live as well, but we'll be going through point 3 through 6 today. And I just can't wait. I love talking about this stuff. I love being able to like record these so that you can watch it at your own convenience. Cause like, I know that like this is a lot of information to gobble up that I just kind of like throw out there like, hey, how you doing? Here's what you need to know. But like, use this as you need it. Like, go back and listen to this again. And the really fun part too is whenever I do these lives and I answer people's questions, like there will be other questions that you may have not even realized that you had a question in your brain that somebody else brings up that it's like, oh, that's a really good point. I never thought about it that way. So I'm a big believer that, and I'm going to go ahead and get this started. So give me just one moment. That's my language that I speak to my cat in. I always like have to put up this little effect on my tickety talks. It's like this thing. It's like Q&A, gene keys and human design, business coaching. I like to include them both together because like I really don't see human design and gene keys as being anything separate. Like in my brain of brains, they feel like they're married, because Richard Rudd, who channeled out the gene keys, studied under Ra Uru, who did human design. He studied the Chinese I Ching and like all these other different world religions. And so there's like a lot of different stuff that goes into these gene keys that make them what they are. So let's make sure that's nice and tight. There we go. All right, we're ready to rumble. But this is like one of my favorite things to talk about is understanding like what it is that makes you an absolute genius in business, like understanding what it is that makes you a unicorn in your niche so that you can stand out online and you can feel really good with the work that you're doing. Cause I don't know about you, but like I was one of those people that I thought that I had to show up a certain way online. Like I used to be very prim and proper because I saw a lot of the other coaches online being very prim and proper. Oh, I just realized I forgot my key necklace. I always have on my key and my lock necklace. It'll be back. But it was one of those things I thought that I had to be like super prim and proper. And what I realized was like I was lacking my own color. Like I was lacking my own sparkle and sunshine that was actually through my gene keys. So it was funny. I was talking about the gene keys, but it's like peeling back the layers of an onion where I just understood them deeper and deeper and deeper as I got further along into my business and realized like I can really use these to my advantage. Like I don't need to just teach about this. Like what happens whenever you like live it? What happens whenever you walk the walk of these gene keys? That's whenever everything starts to change because you realize what it is that you're working with. You realize what it is that makes you different. And whenever you know what makes you different, I don't know about you, but like I stand taller. I'm a little bit rebellious where like I don't want to be like the rest of everybody else. And so whenever I learn about these things that make me unique, these things that like make me shine like a lighthouse from the inside out, like nothing is ever the same. I don't know about you, but I used to take all those cosmopolitan quizzes and like still to this day, I love like quizzes about like brand archetypes. I love quizzes about like the Myers-Briggs and like the personality, like the Enneagrams. And I just like to learn more about me so that I can show up in my business and be the best version of myself. And that sometimes, like, we don't always see our strengths, we don't always see our superpowers. So these gene keys really do show you this roadmap of like, hey, these are the things that you're really, really good at. And if you so choose, you can lean into these things and you can see what you're capable of. You can see what your talents are, where your gifts lie, how you can help other people, and how you can make money doing the things that you love. So today we are going to be talking, before I dive too deep into all of the nitty gritty of it, we are going to be talking about money motivators. And so feel free if you're watching and you have any questions about your gene keys, any questions about your human design. I'm going to be kind of teaching this lesson in the background, but I am open for questions as well. Just started looking this up. Oh my gosh, Janisha, I have had so many people have such that's in your life's work. Nice. Have such a hard time with that 55 because they're like, I don't understand this. But here's the picture that I always get in my mind with this. And so I've known a lot of business owners who have this in like a very prominent spot. And this one, they call it the game changer. But to me, it feels like you're a master of like teaching other people how to pivot. Like whenever things aren't working, it's not like, let's just adjust things here and there. It's almost like a let's drop all of the balls and go in the next direction that we need to go to. So you actually give people, you're like that permission slip for people to be like, no, trash the old way. Like, what if we do it this way? Like, absolute game changing abilities that you have. And you're able to share that through, of course, I already dive into all of this, but like you're willing to share this through that big squishy heart of yours. So through your experiences, through your pain or pleasure that you've experienced all of these moments where it really has benefited you to like let go of the way that you thought things were supposed to be done and step into a new arena. Just like it's almost like you baptize yourself by fire with this and you help other people too as well. Because I don't know about you, but like I'm a big believer in this work. And like if you've been in the spiritual world or the business coaching world for very long, like you see a lot of people like become disciples of other people and like like we're not here to teach other people to be just like us. And you almost give people the permission of that baptism by fire to be like, hey, you get to call upon yourself at any moment, at any time and say, I am this person now. This is what I bring to the table. This is how I can show up in my business. And whenever you give people that like absolute like permission slip just to be themselves and to not have to like work their way up to doing all of these different things, they can just claim it right now in this moment. That changes the trajectory of their life. So you are like this great awakening for people. Yes, I've been a spiritual journey all my life and accepting people as they are. You're welcome. But yeah, with that 4, it's all about, I've been deep diving into unlock your design, 2 pages of notes. I love that. It's so fun. I really, really love that. And it's one of those things with that 4, being willing to share a part of yourself and like why you feel the way that you feel. Because like the line 3 and line 4 are all about emotion. So like you do really well and you attract clients whenever you speak to the emotional part of it, and it feels really good to you because it feels natural for you. It's kind of it. But truly, what I was going into today and what we were talking about a little bit yesterday was these money motivators. And this is in your Pearl gene key. And so your Pearl is the one that's in the very center. If you've never looked at your gene key chart, by the way, we're like going deep into the nitty gritty of things today. So like just buckle up and listen in, because it doesn't matter if you're brand spanking new to this, or if you've like been studying this for years, like there are pieces of gold for you to take from this. And so yesterday we dove into that Pearl and we really focused in on that number behind the decimal. So that's called the line. So that very middle Pearl and that number behind the decimal. So we covered 1 and 2. So 0.1 and 0.2. So 1 was all about like the money motivator being simplicity. And these people are like really, really good at manifesting. These people are really good at like just having one thing after the next and like having an idea of what they want to accomplish. They accomplish them, then they go to the next, then they go to the next. So it's about really too like keeping your life a little bit more simple and clear of clutter, like physical clutter, mental clutter, all of those things, because that is what makes you like a supercomputer for the things that you want. Oh, and then we did, that's true, realtor. And I'm saying no to some clients that my energy isn't pulling towards. That is such a good thing, because like there is going to be times where you just know that it doesn't feel right. You just know that it's like, I could, but do I really, really want to? And like, it's okay to stand in what you believe and stand in what's important for you, because that's whenever you make way for like the best people, the grooviest people that are your people to come through. But so the point too, just to go over it a little bit today, is all about recognition. So I was covering this yesterday and I love the point too. Yeah, well, here's the thing. There's other people out there that can help people, like can help those other people, that even if it's not for you, it's okay. Like that is a big thing about, I don't know what your profile line is. So you might be like a 4-1 or a 4-6. But one of the things is like, you have to be willing whenever you stand up and like do your own business, like you're not here to serve every single person. Like there are other people out there to help those people. You know who you're called to. And this is like where leadership really comes in, where you are willing to call the shots of like what feels good in your world. Ooh, 25.5. Starting the mission. Ooh, yeah. Okay. So let me go into the 2 real quick. So just so we can cover this with Denisha so she can hear about this as well. And I feel like everybody that's on here can benefit from this, because I feel like a lot of people that are drawn to this work, that are even drawn to like hanging out with me on these lives, it's because there's something inside of you that like, you're meant to be seen. You know that you're meant to be recognized, and you have a message, you have a product and a service that is going to change people's lives. And so that's the biggest thing about this point too. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you have this in your chart or not. There are reasons that I bring these up, and that like you can learn from this and you can activate this in your system. But the point too really thrives off being recognized. And like we get told so often that like, oh my gosh, like you're an attention whore and you are just like always seeking attention. It's like, that's not a bad thing. I fully believe, and I was speaking on this yesterday, that like certain celebrities, they crave being in the spotlight because there's actually something in their soul that says like, I can make a change in this world and I can do things better. Like I can be a lighthouse for people. I can use this position for good. And so I feel like with every single fiber of my being that like the more that we let recognition be okay, let recognition like be a driving factor for us in our business, the more beautiful it is. Because like you have a message. If you want to be recognized, if you want your videos to go viral, if you want to get clients from the videos that you make, from the posts that you make, whatever it is, like it's because you have something really cool to share with this world. This isn't just like your brain being like, oh, I want to be famous. It's your genius moving through you that's saying, hey, like we got to get out there. We got to show people what it is that we've got. And the more that you trust yourself with it, the more incredible magic starts to happen. Like I am a living and breathing example of this because this time last year, I wouldn't have even gotten on one of these lives. Like it would have made me sick to my stomach. You can go scroll down through all my old TikToks and like how much I've literally changed as a human being. But it was through practice. It was through stretching my talents, my gifts and ability, being willing to be recognized, even whenever I felt like maybe do other people know more than me? Or when I was like scared out of my freaking mind to get on camera, like I still showed up and I still did it. And like, it has been the most worthwhile journey of my life this last year of like getting on here, being brave, putting myself out on the internet every single day. So you crave the recognition, and that's not a bad thing. You want people to see you at that soul level because you have something really cool to bring to the table for other people. Oh, okay. Taylor, I love the 25 because you can take it in so many different directions. Like this is how I usually talk about the gene keys, by the way, is so in each one of like, if you're looking at your chart, each one of those spheres, each one of those circles means something different. If you zoom in on each one of those, though, they have two different numbers. The first number being the gene key. So I like to think of it as 64 different racehorses. I always say, I'm like, think Palomino, think Arabian horses, think quarter horses, think ponies, all these different, like 64 different kinds of horses with different attitudes, different temperaments, all lined up. And so out of all of those, you have the 25th horse. So like, let's grab that little paint horse, right? It's a little paint horse, the 25th horse. Out of all of the gene keys, this is the one that is about universal love. So whatever it is that you do in this world, it's like you're leading through love. And really like leading, I can't even put enough emphasis on the leadership part of it because you have that 5-1. And the fives have to be willing to stand up on their soapbox and say what it is that's important to them. And especially whatever it is that you absolutely adore and you love and you know can change other people's lives. It's like I feel like the 25 has like this fast pass. In my mind, that's what it is. It's almost like if your heart is lit up, if your heart feels on fire, then that is the thing. That is the thing for you to share. It's almost like you don't even have to be as like crazy specific all the time because you just like radiate this energy of making other people feel calm, making other people feel heard. But truly with that 5 is where we add the sassiness to it. And then the 1 is all about you being willing to go and get that information. Like you are a little information bunny. Like you just go into all of these different holes and you don't realize it, but your intuition is guiding you to these things that you love to research, these things that you love to study, so that you can turn around and teach them and cut out the fluff, cut out the BS of what doesn't work and show people the right way. And you're showing them from a place of love. So really, I love to talk about these different things, but at the end of the day, you have to be willing, like, what is the thing that you're passionate about, Taylor? Like, what is the thing that Taylor loves? And bring that into, like, mix it in with this love and mix it in with this leadership and this willingness to go get the facts about that thing and turn around and teach it. One thing that I always say with the ones is I think that a lot of times there's two things that happen. They either are afraid of copying because they're like, oh, I just gobbled up this information. I don't want to turn around and say the exact same thing. You got to trust in your own voice and your own verbiage to say it in your own way. So like sink your teeth into that, but also like your intuition works differently than other people. Like you are pulled to knowledge and wisdom for a reason so that you can turn around and make money from that thing, so that you can turn around and teach people from that thing. So don't ever be afraid of like, oh, I've only like been learning this for 3 weeks. I'm going to tell you what, my best teacher in life has been whenever I stopped freaking out about having to learn everything and get it perfect. And I started teaching things myself. Biggest game changer of my life. You don't have to wait to be perfect to teach on something, because you're going to be chasing your tail the rest of your life, thinking that everybody else and their mom is the expert but you. And it could not be further from the truth. Like, you are supposed to take that thing that you learned, put it, like, let it stir and purr in your system, and then speak it through your own lens. Like, we learn the fastest whenever we do that. So use that to your advantage. Use this little, like, curious mind that you have to your advantage, why it's pulling you to those things that you love, and then be willing to get up on that soapbox and cut out the bullshit. Like, the fives cut out the BS like it's nobody's business. They're like, we don't need all of this excess. And I feel brave enough to stand up here and say, this is BS and this is what you need. Like, this is not what you need. Like, everybody's saying this is so important. No, that's actually not something that you need to do. What you need to do is this. So, like, a really good example of that would be, like, you know how everybody is like, and Alex Hermosi touches on this too. He's like this big buff multimillionaire, but he touches on the fact that, like, so many people are obsessed with, like, daily journaling and daily, like your workout schedule and getting in a sauna and doing your cold plunge, and, like, all those things are beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I wake up 6 days out of the week at 5:30 in the morning and I run. Like, that feels good to me. But you don't need to get caught up in, like, that's the only way you can be successful. So, like, you would be somebody that would be like, oh, like, actually all you really need to do is stand there for 3 minutes and think about all the things that you're thankful for, or, like, whatever it is for you. Like, you've gone through all of this information, you've sorted through it. And this goes for, like, all 5 ones. You've sorted through this information, and now you're going to cut out the BS so that you can like, deliver it to somebody on a silver platter, and they can either say, yes, I'm interested, or they'll say no. I often say too, with the 5 ones, think about Lady Gaga, think about Taylor Swift. They're both 5 ones. People are either crazy for them or they're like, no, thank you. So keep that in your brain. I get a new gym every time I tune in. I'm so glad. I love that. Hi, Kate. Glad you're here. Think universal love with the ego authority is where I struggle. Oh, yeah. You know, here's the thing. Whenever it comes to, like, the ego authority, and I'm not like, the part of human design that I really, really love that I teach on is mainly, like, the profile lines, because that's very married into the gene keys, as well as, like, the actual, like, gates in human design. And so the authority part and the type part, even though they're cool, they've never been something that, like, light a fire under my butt that I, like, love, love, love. Like, I usually have all of my different human design buddies, like, especially Brandy Yates, who is an expert at these different authorities. But here's the thing that I will say about ego authority, and it's the fact that, and especially pairing it with that universal love, is, like, you got to remember what you love first. It starts and ends with you. So the things that genuinely excite you, that's going to be perfect for the people that want to work with you. Like, that's going to be perfect for them. Like, I often say, like, what is the stuff that you think about your niche at 2:45 p.m. on a Tuesday? Like, that's the shit that the people that love you will gobble up, and they think it's really important. Like, understand that it has to make you happy. What you're doing, the best way you can serve other people is to make yourself extremely happy with what it is that you're doing. And then you show up on this soapbox. And from there, people can't help but fall in love with what it is that you're saying. So always come back to you. Like, and I don't care what other people say about, like, oh, you got to put other people first. And, like, yeah, there's times that we have to get over ourselves, right? And we got to show up and we got to be like, okay, I got a message. But, like, at the heart of it all, it has to come back to something that you love and you genuinely get excited about. So keep that stir and purr. Oh, I'm glad you love that. All right. You are so welcome, Taylor. And so actually, Okay, I will come back up to these in just a few minutes. I'm going to go over the next one and the money motivator. So if you're looking at your Pearl Gene Key, this is the one in the very center. This is the one in the blue. It says Pearl at the top. And we're looking at the decimal points, like so the decimal and then the number behind it. So I covered 1 and 2, but 3 is all about celebration. So you're actually driven by celebration. And so it's one of those things that like you want to make money because you want to go out to the dinners. You want to pay for things. You want to have the parties. You want to like whoop it up in the best way possible. And I feel like so many people that are like you need to save and you do all these things like that probably turns these point threes off because really like they want to live it up while they're here. Like they want to take the things that they've earned and like roll around in the gold of it all and like really, really enjoy it. It's almost like those like multimillionaires that are like, I'm going to spend every penny by the time that I die. And it's like, do your thing. So if you have the point three in your Pearl, realize that you are motivated by this celebration. And then it's not anything to be embarrassed about. It's not anything like if going and buying a purse after you've like made a really good sale is something that like feels decadent to you, but you're hearing like other people on social media be like, you need to save all of these things, blah, blah, blah. But like that literally lights your soul on fire. Go do that thing. Go do that thing because that celebration is going to make you show up differently on camera, make you show up differently whenever you post, whenever you do things. Like you never know what a little thing like a purse can do that totally changes the way that you hold yourself and you feel about yourself. And of course, we can make those feelings happen without material things, but like, let's be real. Like, let's be real. It's nice to be able to spoil yourself. It's nice to be able to go pamper yourself and do those things. So if you have the point three in your Pearl, don't ever feel embarrassed if that's what you're driven by. And even if you don't have the point three, like understand that celebration is a very, very healthy part of making money. It doesn't have to be the all of it. Like we can have all of the different things. You can still save and celebrate, but don't ever think that you're wrong just because you like those things and that drives you and that motivates you. So I think it's really interesting how in a lot of like business coach and even like spiritual healer culture, you know, people like to shame around money and like how you spend it. And it's like, like don't gobble up anything that feels untrue to you and then like turn it around and make you like shame yourself for that thing, you know, like you're never wrong. Like if you have that drive for something, that is okay. That is okay to be motivated by material things sometimes because like I'm a big believer that like it's not just about you. Like, it's not just about you that wants this thing. Like anything that you want and you crave, I truly feel like that is God wanting that thing through you, wanting you to experience that thing because you're going to show up like a bat out of hell, making magic all over the internet whenever you get that thing that feels really good. Or like you go get that facial or you go get vajazzled. Like, I don't know, like you do whatever you want. So don't ever like let other people shame you if you have that point three and you love a little bit of celebration in your life, if that's what drives you to make money. And so I'll go into the 4 in just a minute. I'm going to go back up. I'm getting warm. Got my hair cut the other day. Does anybody else get like married to their dead ends? I stopped coloring my hair 3 years ago. And it was like really kind of a pain in the butt at first, but now I'm really glad I did it. But so my hair would like never grow long. And ever since I stopped coloring it, it really started growing. But still, every time I go in to get a trim, like every 6 months, I was like married to my little dead ends because they were like down to my ribs. But now I'm like, okay, I know you look healthier, but like, I kind of miss those guys. Okay. So 4-6 splenic. Oh, and we have 13.2 culture. Okay, so first soul rich, I'll dive into the 4-6. So like I said, I'm not a big lover of like I'm so different than the human design readers when it comes to this. I think authority is important, but like it just doesn't interest me. Like, it doesn't light my fire. And like, that doesn't mean that it's wrong or that it's right. That's just like my genuine interest. So for me, anytime that I read about the authorities, it never really like plants itself in my brain just because it's like, oh, if I'm working with somebody, like I look it up and I get like a fresh feel of it. So, but where I love to dig in is that 4-6 right there. And so I was touching on this a little bit earlier about the fours and about like there's so much that comes with connection. I don't know if you were on here the other day or if it was somebody else I was telling about this, but like whenever you're a four, if you're not out there like kind of wheeling and dealing yourself, you're missing a grand opportunity. And truly, I'm not even a four, but this has been one of the biggest like cracking open of who I am as a business owner since I started was like being ballsy enough to put myself out there to be like, hey, do you want to do an interview on Instagram Live with me? Do you want to do an interview on TikTok Live? Do you need a guest for your podcast? Like, this is what it is that I talk about. Like, blah, blah, blah. All of those things, even like commenting on other people's posts, like putting really insightful feedback, like not going on there and being like, you suck because this. No, it's more of a like, yes, I love that point. And like, here's what I've learned from that as well, where people will find you that way. Like anything that you can do that creates connection is going to be absolutely banana pants amazing for you. And you're going to get so many stories and so many lessons through this experience of you reaching out and collaborating with others that you really like set the tone for other people to like feel safe, not just being like these solo entrepreneurs, that you actually make people be like, oh my gosh, if she did this thing, like if she's like sitting there and talking to all of these different people and making all these different friends and connections in business that brings all of these different opportunities, like I can do that too. I didn't understand how important that was whenever I started my business. I remember being so scared to reach out to other business owners and be like, hi, would you like to come on my live? But then doing that, I've made so many other friends in business. I learned so much about myself, how I hold myself with other people. And two, it's just like brought our different audiences together. So it's like a win all around. So whatever you can do, I'm even thinking about like threads, how that's all about like communicating and commenting on other people's things. Use that to your advantage. Like be that person that's willing to like put yourself out there and form genuine connections. And that is going to be a gold mine for you. But the 13.2 in the culture, I can touch on the 13 a little bit real quick. I love because that two is all about partnership. So you do really well like one-to-one with other people, whether it's just like clients or it's like business partners, like people you collaborate with. But that 13, they are like this divine listener. And truly, like I always think about the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Like I suggest listening to it on Spotify. I love books, and that wasn't like my favorite book, but there were so many good points in that thing, and it changed the way that I show up. And even like I was talking with Soul earlier, like it changed the way that I showed up, and I started doing like interviews with people. So this is a really good thing. I always think about like podcasts when I think about the 13th gene key, because like you're just an incredible listener, and using that listening skill to its absolute zenith is going to be really, really important for you. So oftentimes we want to be that person that gets in the last word, or like we like bring up the thing that we want to talk about. But the more important you can make other people feel, actually, the more they are willing to do really incredible things for you. And they'll just see you as this person that they like recommend to other people, because people don't realize it. But like subconsciously, they just like, I don't know about you, but I found this out so much in this last year, probably since I read that book. So many people just want to talk about themselves. Like so many people just want to like be heard and talk about the things that they're genuinely interested in, and have somebody like be a listening ear that's like actively listening and not like waiting to say their next piece. So understand that like listening is your superpower. And then once you listen, you can provide incredible feedback for other people. So that is a huge thing and going to be like a big part of how you communicate in general. It's like being willing to listen to your audience, but then ultimately, like, you have to make your own decisions from there. It has a bit of a line 5 vibe for me there, where it's like, listen, but also like know your inner self and know what's important. Ooh, soul rich. That's a really good question. So I'm a stinker when it comes to talking about being an empath. And okay, like, I'm just going to start this off with, like, you and anybody listening, you take what you need from this and you run. But this personally for me has been such a big, like, eye-opening experience this last year of my life, is when I stopped picking, like, I chose to retire my empath skin, and I stopped picking up on the world around me and using my intuition to pick up on the world around me, and I started setting the tone for my life. And so even though I had those moments of, like, where I've gotten around people, because for so many years I just, like, I literally brainwashed myself that it was like, I have to pick up on people's energy or else I'm not psychic. I'm not good at this. I'm not intuitive if I'm not picking up on all of this. Or, like, people will think that I'm cooler if I'm, like, picking up on all of this energy, right? That's how it was for me. Like, no lie at all. Like, I thought that it made me cooler. I thought that it made me more psychic. And so I would tune into that. And then I would have all of this heavy weight after hanging out with people and have to, like, deconstruct all of that. And, like, it felt bleh. And so something changed last summer whenever I came across the Gene Keys, because it really was like this calling to these higher qualities inside of myself, and deciding, like, I really wanted to take charge of my mindset and what it is that I allowed in my world. And so I just straight up decided, I kept hearing the words retired empath, retired empath, retired empath. And there was a time where, like, finding out that I was an empath was like, it made so much sense. And it was like golden and I was flowing, but, like, I used it as a crutch for far too long. And I actually had this conversation with my hairdresser yesterday. She was like, or Thursday, she's like, Steph, like, I'm going to Pearl Harbor. We're going to Hawaii. And, like, I'm really scared I'm going to be, like, picking up on all of that stuff, blah, blah, blah. And, like, there was a time that I would have said the exact same thing. So, like, I'm not here to shame anybody for, like, where you're at in your spiritual journey and picking up energy. But what I told her was, like, you can choose at any time, Natalie. Like, you can just say, like, I'm not here to do that. Like, that's not my job. Like, you can, like, send a little peaceful energy and be like, thank you. Thank you for all this, like, all the things that were learned from this, and walk away, and you can be fine. Like, you have the ability. This is, like, beyond putting a bubble around yourself. This is beyond that. It's just deciding that, like, shit can't touch you anymore. And once you decide that you get to make like, your own path and forge, like, how you hold your energy, like, you're not going to be swayed by Mercury retrograde. You're not swayed by a full moon anymore. Like, yes, like, we love the stars and the planets and how they all do their thing. They're beautiful. They're magical, but they do not get to have a say in how you hold yourself. Use those things as inspiration rather than absorbing all that comes with that. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully that helps you. Just, like, this is what I've personally learned. Like I said, you take what you need from it, but it has been one of the most freeing things. It was one of the scariest things too, because I let go of the way that my intuition worked, which my intuition was so strong that it scared me. But I had to be willing to, like, cross this threshold. And it was almost like walking through fire. But on the other side of it, I burned away the picking up, and I started, like, just deciding who I was. And so my intuition is actually sharper and clearer and just like a supercomputer, more than it's ever been. So hopefully that can help you understand how to, like, navigate those, because you're allowed to make friends with other people in business, or not even, like, friends. Like, if you just want to be, like, business friends, like, it doesn't matter. You're allowed to have relationships that don't drain you. And the more that you just, like, decide, Like, I'm good after any interaction, the better you are. Like, truly, truly, you get to decide. So, if I let my intuition take over, I'll be crazy. Ah. Yeah, it's all mental and verbal and your energy. It's so true, Kim. Like, I truly feel like that's the best gift that you can give to yourself. And like, that's after me teaching shadow work for years and doing tarot and energy updates and all of those things and finding out, like, on the other side of it, you're allowed to call the shots in your own life. Like, you really, really are. And like, that's the most beautiful gift you can give to yourself. I would love to let go of the empath thing. Yeah. And you're allowed to, like, lickety split right now. Like, just decide from here on out. Like, anytime you have a thought around, like, oh my God, am I picking up on them? Just be like, no, because I don't. And then continue to think about something that you actually enjoy. Like truly, truly, it really can be that simple. I'm somebody that, I don't believe in this whole like toxic positivity thing. I think that that is something that people that really want to stay stuck in their own bullshit say. I truly believe that. And what I have found is that it's not just about like, oh, sunshine and rainbows, even though I'm a sunshine and rainbow kind of girl. It's about like having a success oriented mentality, like deciding that you want to think successfully. Because if we're all out here preaching, hey, we create our own reality, then stop circling the drain of everything that's wrong and start putting your energy and all of your eggs in the basket of what actually happens whenever you think that everything is going to work out for you, whenever you're winning in any situation, and see how your physical health, how your bank account, how your business changes when you do those things. Mind blowing. It's really good stuff. It's really, really good stuff. Oh, you're full of 6. Oh, I just made a video about the 41. Okay, that's a really good one, Denisha. I'm like kind of just scrolling through random comments, you guys, by the way. So like, thank you for your patience. Yes, this is kind of like human design. I like to think of them as married. Go Google free Gene Key profile, type in your date, time, location of birth on the Gene Key website, and it'll pull up a chart with 11 different circles that all mean something different, but they're really, really cool. So yeah, and Denisha, we were just talking about that point too as well, and the pearl about like the recognition. I love that. But that 41, and I always tell everybody, like, whenever you're listening to this, it doesn't matter if you have this gene key or not. Like, of course, it's going to be stronger in your system if you have this in your chart. But I'm a big believer that like our chart is just what we have in our grocery cart. You can go to the grocery cart or go to the grocery store and grab other gene keys off the shelf and incorporate them in your life. Like, I worked with a lot of different business coaches that had the 26th gene key. And this was all about being like the hypnotist. This is all about being like really good at sales. And I was like, oh, that sounds delicious. Like, I want a bite of that. And so just like jam, I pulled it off of the shelf and I was like, 26 gene key, you're coming with me. Or like, another example I use is like, think about your gene keys as just like the basic bitch Build-A-Bear. And so it's just like the skin and the fluff. And then like, that's just what you're working with. It's like solid, that's your core. But then you can like add in the singing heart, and you can add in the pair of overalls and the rain boots and the top hat or whatever. That's a crazy outfit. I always, whenever I give that example, I always give the Build-A-Bear a weird outfit. But like, you get to add on all of these things. Like, if your heart and soul is calling for that thing, you get to add that on. So we all have all 64 of the gene keys, just some of them are stronger. So as I talk about this 41st gene key, I'm going to take a sip of water. As we talk about this 41st gene key, understand that this is all about like having the energy of being ahead of your time. And so I think about this as like a cosmic surfer, as this person that like you have these ideas about things that are ahead of your time. You have these ideas where it's like, you're riding this huge wave that's coming in, but like nobody on the beach can see the wave. Like nobody on the beach is even aware. They're just like building sand castles, like doing their own thing. And you're like, I'm riding on this big wave. And so it could be easy to want to bail because it doesn't feel like anybody else gets what it is that you're building. But like, lock yourself into this thing that you really get like passionate about, that you learn more about, that you discover on like different angles how to be even better at it, so that whenever this stuff does become popular, you're the one that like rides in this wave and you're like, I can guide all of you through how to do this, or on what you need to learn in this, because I've been riding this wave for a year. I've been riding this wave for 3 years. And so the 41 really is ahead of their time. I often think about fantasy writers whenever I think about the 41, because they're able to like build these worlds that other people can't see. So like your mind, it really is this beautiful place that can like create something before it's even happened. And it's almost like you get to lock that in and become this like master manifester of like you seeing this future and being willing to hold on to it until it actually like comes into physical form. I love talking to people physically, but it's hard to get on camera. I get that. Like I get that because it was hard for me too. And what I would say is, first and foremost, just because it feels hard now does not mean it has to be hard forever. Like there are so many things this past year that I've learned and I've overcome in business that I didn't think that I would already have done. Like I didn't know that I could do that and that I would be willing to like put myself in that position to be like brave over and over again. But it's like the most worthwhile thing that you can do is to actually like, whenever you have talent and you have gifts and you have something to share, is to put that thing on display and like stretch it out, see what it's made of, like give it room to breathe. So if you're not super, super comfortable with like getting on camera at first, I would say a good like little segue, like literally just give yourself 2 weeks of experimenting with this if you don't already do it. Making videos where like you talk into the video and it's like B-roll footage and then it's like your words on top of it. So like having that happen, and then even like, I don't know if you're making videos right now, but like having the videos that you're not talking live into the camera and doing that for like 2 weeks. And then eventually you're going to have to come to the point which you just decide to jump in and you get on camera. And like, I can tell you this, I spoke to crickets for a very long time whenever I first started, especially over on my Instagram. And I still got on every single day for 4 months straight. And I went live because I was like, there's a lesson inside of me every single day. Like there's something that I can teach and I can get on here and I can get better. And even though there were some days there'd be 10 people on there, there'd be some days there was like nobody on there, but like I got better. It wasn't even about like exactly what I was doing or talking about. Like I was giving myself that space to get better and get more comfortable. Like there was a time where I like almost refused to get on TikTok lives because I was so scared. Like I was like, oh my God. Like, and because I had a lot of mental things that were all about like, there's only a bunch of mean kids on here and like, where are my ideal clients? Blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I did it. I figured it out. Like, and it's the simplest things too. Whenever we open our mind up and say like, okay, I'm ready for this to be easy. I'm ready for this to be something I genuinely enjoy. You will be delivered the things that change the game for you. Like it was so random and weird, but like one day I just like channeled, like I just had an idea for a background for my TikTok lives. They were like, hey, gene key readings, blah, blah, blah. And it was like a rainbow and it made me happy. And so many people stopped and started watching my stuff because of that one little idea. Cause I was like, I'm ready for it to be easy. I'm ready for it to be fun. That came through. And then I do these things all the time, like these little stickers where it's like, hey, this is what we're talking about. And the right people find me, like, so the whole getting over this, like, this camera thing. I just taught a course in June that's called Keys to Confidence, where I combine like your gene keys with like the actual actions that you need to take, the energetics that you need to get into to get really confident on camera and start really showing up online in a big way. And like some of the biggest takeaways that these women said were like, I had this inside of me. I was like kind of getting in my own way. Like I was just like doubting myself. And like there's gonna be the doubt, there's gonna be the fear whenever it comes to showing up big and putting yourself out there. And like your personality at the very beginning isn't always like as developed as it will be. Like I've gotten squirrelier and weirder the more that I post every day and the more that I show up every day. Like I've created my own vocabulary that like doesn't make any sense other than for like my ideal clients. And it's just like you get better and better and better. So it's something to look forward to and be willing to go through that phase of being like, I'm not perfect at this yet, but like every single day that I get on here and do it, whether I'm talking to 0 people or I'm talking to 500 people, I'm getting better. Like you just get to do it. You just get to decide. So I hope that helps. Yay. Huh. Your 4-6 is becoming a hermit. Oh, the 4s definitely have a hermit side to them too. That you have to acknowledge that as well. I'm scrolling back up. Ooh, Kristen. Okay. Oh, we have a 5-1 too. Okay. Celebration is a 3, so it doesn't apply to the other gene keys. Pearl. So, okay. So in the Pearl, Nicole, just so I can get this across, it's 0.3. So whenever you have that 0.3 decimal in the Pearl, that's about the celebration. And so that just like impacts the way that you bring that gene key to life. And like really anytime that you have the 3, you have a little bit of that celebration energy. Whenever you have the line 3s anywhere, that they're adventurous, they're wild. Okay, let me go back through. Okay, first I will get, so yeah, 5-1. Oh, I love me some 5-1s and some manifesting generators lately. Nicole knows, like there's been a lot of manifesting generators and a lot of 5-1s in my life lately. I'm married to a 5-1, so like I get this on a deep level. I'm a 5-2, so like it's a really cool contrast between the two of those things, even though they seem close. They're different in their own weird ways. But whenever you're that 5-1 manifesting generator, like I always say about 5s, like it's huge about you using your voice. It's like, it's a big thing whenever it comes to like being willing to share your point of view on things, because a lot of times we're taught to like keep that to ourselves. And the more edgy and spicier you can get with your content, like this was like something I actually had a little bit of a difficulty with whenever I first started like getting a little spicier and a little goofier online. Was like, I thought I had to be prim and proper. I thought I had to like fall into this line for like people to like me. And actually I was boring the shit out of myself with my content. If I like go back through, it was like boring because I was scared to be edgy. I thought that made me like mean. And so you have to understand, like, A, you're emotionally intelligent enough to know what's right. And B, whenever we have a message to deliver to this world, like there is no shame in the game of having like clickbaity titles. Like there's nothing wrong with that because you're here to wake people up. Like a 5 is a disruptor. And so like your videos or your post should give people a jolt of lightning so they can either be like yay or nay. But I really love that, like, the 1 with the manifesting generator, because like you're so curious, you have so many different interests. What I always say is like, how can you take those things that you love? And of course, like not every single piece of your life all the time has to be in your business. Like if you like knitting, but you do like fitness, like you can just talk about that sometimes, just like as a fun, like matter of fact or fact about me. But like, how do you take all these different things that you love to learn about and shoot it through one crystal, shoot it through one lens, put it under one umbrella of what it is that you really teach, and understand that like there's magic in every side of you. So like how do you like almost like wrangle this ADHD part of your brain and use it for good? Because so many very, very successful business owners that I've worked with are manifesting generators, and they figured out how to have one thing that they really, really talk about, but then bring all the other things that they love into it. Like I said, under that umbrella. So use that to your advantage. The fact that you have this magical little squirrel brain that goes here, there, and everywhere. Like, people need that energy. People feed off of that energy, and like you're an endless supply of it. So have fun with it, because the more things that light you up, are just going to help you show up in your business and shine. So yeah. So Kristen Ashley with the 3-5, you heard me talking about the 5 a few moments ago, especially with you, like it's all about being willing to go on that roller coaster ride. Like every single experience that you have in your life, like there's an element of like, ooh, what's going to happen? What corner am I going to turn? What's happening here? And instead of being like, oh my God, I hate this. Like, how can you fall in love with like the surprise of life? Like and I've never said that for the 3-5s before, but I really, really like that, because there's so much juice that you find and you learn in the surprise of life and what lessons that you take from there. But then all of these experiences that you go through and you navigate through, you make it so much easier for other people to navigate through them as well, because you get up on that soapbox with that 5 energy after you've experienced it and been like, so by the way, this is what I've learned. And you can share it from a place of power rather than a place of like, I'm the hot mess express, this is crazy. No, you share it from a place of leadership, and your voice is so big for you. So love, love, love. I don't know if you follow Brandy Yates. She's like my big buddy now. I talk about her all the time. We just did a business event together last weekend, and like we like sending love letters to each other after, like, oh my gosh, just had so much fun working with you. But she's a 3-5 projector. So Brandy Yates, make sure you go follow her as well. I feel like she sets a really good example for projectors, because I think a lot of the times projectors get this rap of like this woe is me energy. And I'm not saying everybody has it, but I feel like a lot of projectors will get stuck in that box of like, I have to be invited. I have to have all of these things, all these ducks in a row, and I don't have as much energy as anybody else. And like Brandy shows up almost daily for her online business. That doesn't mean she's showing up all day, every day, but she like knows what's important. And she's like willing to learn, and she's willing to try things. And like, it was funny because like we're selling an offer, and I was like, I wonder how she feels about like inviting people into a space. And she did it. Like she like got her butt out there and like sold her booty off. Like she really did, and created so much magic. So like, don't ever let this identity of being a projector hold you back or keep you small, because like you have the energy for the things you actually genuinely care about. Like you put that energy towards like where other people might have to take like 20 steps, you only have to take 5. So like the moves that you make are very potent, they're very sharp. And so you learn from them, but you don't have to take as many steps as everybody else. So you learn from them. It's like almost like learning quick and then turning around and extracting the message. Learn quick, be okay with like having the moments that feel like you're taking a spill, and then turning around and being like, and this is what I learned. Like, cause you can make money from those things. So the more you experience things, instead of like waiting back for like the universe to move all of its chess pieces, like you play the game with the universe. Like you go back and forth with your chess pieces. I know I'm not a projector, but like, I know I used to gummy bears. I love gummy bears. Thank you. I love gummy bears in real life. I love to put them in the freezer. I think it's the grooviest thing. And my husband thinks I'm a sicko, but like I leave the bag open and I kind of let them get hard. I like them when they got a little bite to them. They're not as juicy. Gummy bears aside. It's one of those things that when you have this 3 as well, you have a really good sense of humor about life and you make other people feel comfortable being human. And so like people are naturally drawn to 3 5s because of that. But like I said, go follow Brandy. Make sure you follow her because she like just sets such a good tone and such a good example for that. I used to write books. I started, then I stopped. Oh, Denisha, I feel you. I have a half written fantasy novel that I will probably get back to one day, but I understand that. I think with the 41, you can like create worlds and you can see things that other people can't. Nessa, okay, best for 4-6 to get out of a rut. Twofold. I was speaking to this to Soul Rich earlier. Getting yourself out of there and collaborating in unexpected ways, especially if you're like feeling like you're in a rut, talking to people in different areas that you haven't talked to before and like changing up your game is going to be really, really vital for that. Like, because you have that 6 inside of you, which they live their first 30 years like a 3. And so the 3s really crave adventure. They crave fun. They crave diversity and something different. And so like doing things that are out of the ordinary. I was listening to a marketing podcast. I always listen to Dan Kennedy's marketing podcast, which if you've never heard of him before, like he's rough around the edges. But like, if you want to learn how to sell things and show up in your business, like, it's crazy. But he was talking about like, they were talking about like pattern interruption this morning on that. And I think that's like an NLP term or whatever, but like you have to be willing to like construct pattern interruptions in your day-to-day life and like doing things that are out of the ordinary that are going to jolt something in your system that are going to challenge you. So recently I did this in my business where I hosted an online business retreat. I had never hosted one before. I brought together all these different speakers from all these different niches. And I like got all this like different website stuff set up that I had never, ever done before. And that was a total pattern interruption, especially because I was like selling a course at the same time, selling a masterclass at the same time. But really like it challenged me and it stretched me and it gave me the nervous feelings and it also gave me like the holy shit I'm doing this feelings. But being willing to have more pattern interruption, like even if you create it, like so many people are just out here selling themselves short and like you're not going to get these like crazy awesome opportunities unless you really start putting yourself out there and being willing to take the first step. Kind of like I said with the chessboard with the universe, like moving the pieces along with it. So I hope that helps me. Hey. Brandy Aids is bomb. That's where it started. Yay! I know, Debbie. I love her. She's such a buddy. Oh, thank you. Yay. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with the other couple money motivators. I know we've been like talking about all these other things. And of course, if you have, I don't know what that is. If you have any questions as I go through, like feel free to drop them about Gene Keys or human design or about your certain chart or about your profile lines. I am a profile line hoe. Like I'm not afraid to admit that. Like I love the profile lines. I think they're so juicy. I feel like everybody overlooks them and I'm obsessed with them. I think that they are so key to creating content, to creating like your branding, to how you show up in your actual content. So if content has been something that has been like a thorn in your side with your business and you want to actually have fun with it, you're like, hey, I know I need to start showing up on social media every single day, or like I've been wanting to, but I feel like a dry rag whenever I'm trying to like wring out all of this content. Like I've got a lot of good stuff in my brain. I almost poked my eye out. I got a lot of good stuff in my brain, but like how to get this to the computer, make sure you go to the link in my bio and you get in on my double masterclass. This is previously recorded. You can take it at your own pace. You can gobble it up in a night if you want, but it's all about like short form content and like things that'll spark your idea through your Gene Keys. There's a ceremony where you like plug in to this energy and know that like every hour, every minute, you have a piece of content inside of you, but also it gives you like plug and play templates. So it's Gene Keys, energy, but also action pieces to go out there and like ideas for really good kinds of content that will just like rev up your creative engine and just get you excited and like happy to be creating. So whenever you sign up for that, it's $120. You get a 1-to-1 60-minute session with me where we do a Voxer voice note coaching. So any questions you have about your specific gene keys, I answer for you. I just creatively riff if that's something that you're interested in, and just answer any of your questions about business and showing up for your courses. Like, and you get to run away with it with actual like actionable pieces so you can show up in your business and feel really good. So I'm just looking at my channels yesterday. So curious. Yeah. So gene keys are like a deep dive into your human design and astrology. And so you can go Google free gene key profile and you will find all of the juice there. But yeah, make sure you go sign up for that because that ends July 31st. The double masterclass and the 1-to-1 Voxer. This isn't something that I offer very often. Like most of the things that I do are like a very like curated, like step into the space and it's crazy. But this is more like, hey, do you have some questions? Would you like a taste of like 1-to-1? And especially because nobody out there is doing like 1-to-1 work when it comes to gene keys. This is a really groovy place to hang out. So make sure you go sign up for that. And then, so we're going back to the Pearl. So the Pearl gene key, the one in the middle, we're talking the number behind the decimal. So if you pull up your gene key chart, you zoom in on that blue triangle, you zoom in on that Pearl. We covered point 1 is about simplicity. Point 2 is about recognition. That's your money motivator. Point 3 is about celebration. Point 4 is about charity. And so I have this in my personal chart. In my business chart, I'm a point 3, but in my personal chart, I'm a point 4. And I'll be honest, that kind of like annoyed me at first. Not that I'm not loving and I don't want to like give back, but there was a certain element where I was like, I want to create really cool things for myself too. And what I learned from that point 4 is like, you love, like you're really motivated by like giving to things that you love. So like one of my money motivators is like to take my husband to Europe and like rent him whatever kind of like badass car he wants to rent over there and him just like drive through the countryside. Like without even blinking an eye, right? Like that's one of my money motivators. Like another one that I have through charity is like taking my mom and my grandma on a trip that they've never been to. Like that is a money motivator for me. Another thing is like I watched this show about these rhinos being bred in Africa and they're like trying to save them. And I was like, I want to donate a lot of money to these rhinos. And like, that is a money motivator. So whenever it comes to the point 4 and about like that charity, it's about things that like actually make you excited, not the things that like people tell you should do with your money. It's like what genuinely makes you excited, like taking care of the people around you and like reaching outside of that, like playing with those ideas is going to be really good for you to like, whenever you go online and you sell, if there's like an inch of you that feels uncomfortable or nervous about it, you can tap back into those money motivators and be like, okay, this is why I'm doing it. And it like makes you feel at ease and it actually like magnetizes people to you whenever you're in that like more receptive energy. Because like if I were to record a video after I just thought about like taking my husband on a really cool vacation, I would be in such a groovy energy, you know, and people are pulled to that. So don't ever underestimate the power of these money motivators that are in your Pearl gene key. Oh my God, I love the 12. I love the 12. And I will get to the 0.5 and 0.6 today because I'm doing my YouTube live at the same time. And I started with it yesterday and I made it through 1 and 2. So I'm like, I'm going to finish these mofos today. But I will talk on the 12 real quick because the person that I think of whenever I think about the 12th gene key is Jerry Seinfeld. And I get to go see him like his stand up here soon. And I'm really, really excited. My husband's like a big fan of Seinfeld. I always like his Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee on Netflix because I think that tapping into stand-up comedians has been really beneficial for me. Not only because like I love like the sense of humor part, but like people that are stand-up comedians have like true grit and they have like true persistence in their craft. Like the ones that are really good, like make their life about it. And so Jerry Seinfeld uses that 12th gene key. It's actually in his pearl. He was one of the celebrity gene keys I did. I was doing like Beyonce and Lady Gaga, and then I like throw Jerry Seinfeld in there because I genuinely find him interesting. I love his obsession with his craft. And the 12th gene key is all about you having a unique voice. So most people know Jerry Seinfeld's voice from a freaking mile and a half away. Like he does not sound like anybody. The way that he does stand up is not like anybody. So like Kelly, there is so much magic in the way that you just speak. Like so often we like listen to TikToks or we listen to like Instagram reels or like even whenever it comes to like writing content where it can be easy to start sounding like other people, but actually you are not supposed to sound like anybody else. And I use the example of like even the way that I talk, like if you were to lay it out on a sheet of paper, like it wouldn't be like grammatically correct all the time. And I have a lot of made up words and a lot of weird shit that I say that's like just true to me. But like the people that like that kind of stuff, they're drawn to stay and to listen to me. And so you have that. You have a very particular voice that is like, it cuts through the night, it cuts through the fog. So use that to your advantage. And so there is a lot of like ballsiness that comes with this voice, with it being different. Like think about how actors, like I was listening to like Brad Pitt talk about this in an interview. He's like, you know, you can really do like a scene, like a 4, like a 5. And he's like, and I think he was talking about like Matt Damon or something. He's like, he is always at a 10. Like he always goes full pull, like puts his heart into it. And so like, yes, that can be scary. Like you have to be brave to do that, but it pays off in the long run. Because the more and more you do it, the more and more you allow this voice to become like really crafted to you. Because like the way that I talk now, whenever I first started doing TikTok lives, I didn't talk like this. Like it was much more like reserved and like sugar coated and scared and like less weird. And now like the more that I do it, the more I let my weird and I let my own verbiage come out. So hopefully that helps. Oh my God, somebody named Rainbow Sun. I love your name. Huh, that makes me so happy. Okay, real quick, we're going to go into the point 5 when it comes to the Pearl gene key. So the point 5 is all about, so Pearl, you're looking at your Pearl gene key, point 5. Your motivator is actually power. Your motivator is being like this really, really good manager of money. Like you think that it is sexy and it is cool to have this money and to be able to move it and distribute it. So like these are people that are very much have like boss type energy. They have this like king or like queen aura to them where they just know where it's supposed to go. So like they are drawn to having that power. And most people would be like, no, it's not about having the power. But it's like, that's in somebody's chart. Like it's okay to be driven by that. Like you don't make that everything about your life since there's like so many other aspects to your gene keys. Like just having the power is not all of it, but like it is okay to be drawn to it because you want to have that like big fat savings account. Like it is okay that you want to like move your money around and like invest in things that make you feel ballsy, that make you feel excited. Like you actually are a really, really good teacher to other people about how to manage their money as well. And if you have that 0.5 and you haven't felt that yet, this just means this is like part of what you've come to like learn and master. Because like I have a lot about my voice and my gene keys, and I knew I was like, I had an affinity for it, but that didn't mean that I was like awesome at it at first, like using my voice. So like a lot of times in our gene keys, it will be something that like, yes, we have all the tools already to like figure it out and get really good at it. So like you're drawn, if you have that 0.5 to power, you're drawn to managing money. And there is a sense of like a Robin Hood energy that these 0.5s have as well, where they like to distribute it back to the correct places, whether that be through like charity or like where they know it's going to like yield the biggest return. Ooh, you're 13.2. I had somebody talking about 13.2 earlier. The point 2 is all about recognition. So the point two is all about recognition and wanting to be seen like at a soul level, like actually craving attention because you have something incredible to bring to the table. Like, and so it's not a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing to be driven by that. Ooh, my pearl is 20.5. Oh, I love the 20. It's my clunkiest name for any of the ones that I have. It is my clunkiest name that I call the divine bullshit caller outer. And like, you are somebody that is like, everybody thinks it's this way, but actually it's this way. And like, hey, like, you do it in a loving and fun way. So like, don't ever be afraid like to have that microphone and be like, hey guys, you're thinking that it needs to be done this way. Like, actually, this is why I love this thing that everybody hates. And so you really change people's idea of a certain thing because you're willing to voice your opinions. Ahem. How long have I been talking? I've been talking for an hour and 14 minutes. I love getting on here and seeing like how long I talk for. So I used to do lives for like 3 hours. And I think it's a really good thing if you're like strengthening your voice and you do want to speak on stages one day, or you do just like want to continue to like show up on lives and make videos. I feel like the longer that you like get on here and talk, like you're just developing your craft more and more. And so I like doing that. I think it's fun. Okay. Last but not least, before I answer any more questions, the point, oh yeah, you got the 41.6. We have a lot of people with similar things today. That's cool. That's usually how it is. Back whenever I used to do the mini readings, it always seemed like there'd be like certain gene keys, certain numbers that like kept coming up over and over again. So makes sense. So like you're double ahead of your time because that 41 is very riding this wave in that nobody else realizes that the wave is coming, and you are able to like live in this place that like almost doesn't exist yet. But like whenever you hold on to it, you can create that thing, right? And so that 0.6 though, if you have the 0.6 in your pearl, you are very much ahead of your time with money. So I've seen this with a lot of very, very successful business owners where like their motto is like, I like money is like air. It's I breathe it as easy. Like it comes in as easy as breathing. Like one of the first gene key readings that I did, I call her like the money queen of Australia. And her name is Alex Tripod. And she has the 0.6 in her pearl. And she really teaches a lot about manifestation and like a new way of understanding money. So like really these 0.6s, I see them like their work isn't just about now. It's about this bigger dream, this bigger empire that they're building and a new way to see how money works. And so it's really cool. Like every single entrepreneur I've seen with the 6 is a bit ahead of their time with that energy. They a lot of times with the 6s in general, they almost have like this alien point of view, and they actually get to use that to their advantage because people don't even know that they need that information. But when you can take that ahead of your time point of view and bring it back into the now and teach people how to get to that, that is where your gold mine comes in. So these people 0.6 have a different, it's like philanthropy times a million, right? They like this new world version of money is basically what it is. That's their superpower. They really want it to be just like easy flowing out and flowing in. So use all of those to your advantage. The 0.1 is simplicity. 0.2 is words recognition. The 0.3 is celebration is the money motivator. 0.4 is charity. 0.5 is power. And 0.6 is, I think it's called philanthropy. But honestly, it's just this new version of money. So I wanted to make sure that I covered all of my bases today because I started this live yesterday. And I really wanted to cover all of the money motivators just so you can get a taste of your own energy. I do have, if you're somebody that wants to learn more about these gene keys and like how to read them, my Decode Your Keys course is going to be coming up again soon. It'll be my second round. So you'll get all the material from the first round. And then I'm going to be recording more live and like a lot of Q&As with this round too. So I'm very, very excited. I haven't even put it in my bio yet, but just know that that's coming up if you want to learn how to read these gene keys in a way that feels really good to you and feels like easy, feels potent. Because I've had people that joined my first round of this program that had been in the gene key world for years. And they're like, Stephanie, you talk about this different than I've ever heard before. And I want to learn more about it this way. And I had people that were brand spanking new. So if you want to learn more about these gene keys, make sure you follow me on Instagram. You follow me over here. That course is probably going to be starting like beginning of September. And even if you want access to it early, you just message me and then you can be along for the ride as well. You'll just get access to those first 4 courses a little earlier. But I really see a lot of my courses as like they grow with time. So every time that I rerun a course, like you still get to be in it and you still get to learn more. So I love it. But by the way, yeah, we were talking about content earlier. I hadn't touched on this as much today, but I'm full blown obsessed with this masterclass that I have in the link in my bio. It's a special that I am running only through July. So July 31st, after July 31st, it is done. But it's all about using your gene keys to create content that really feels like you, that feels fun, that feels easy, that feels like exciting, like you're genuinely excited to make videos to post online. And it was something that I used to hate. I absolutely hated it. And I've been on both sides of the fence with it, where I used to want to throw my computer in the river. And now I love creating content. I love talking about content and using the gene keys to open up the best parts of you online so that you can attract clients and make money doing the things that you love. So make sure you go sign up for that right now, because with that double masterclass, you can watch it at your own pace. You get an hour of one-to-one Voxer voice note coaching with me. So if you have been curious about getting coached through these gene keys and like just learning more about yourself, this one-to-one hour is a really good like taste into that, into my one-to-one coaching spaces as well, where we talk about your gene keys and all of the things that make you absolutely shine in your business. So reading these. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah. And I also have a freebie in the link in my bio if you're brand spanking new to gene keys. It's a PDF that you can download. I'm going to be updating it again soon. So, yeah, make sure you go get in on that. But follow me over on Instagram. Make sure you're looking at my stories, because I always have really groovy offers that are coming through that have to do with this gene key. But make sure you get in this world in the month of July, because I have that $120 offer that I'm so excited about and I love talking about, because I think content is so cool and I love making content from a place that feels good, because then I can show up on these lives and I can like show up in my videos and I'm like genuinely happy. And whenever you're genuinely happy and excited about the things that you're putting out into this world, you are a freaking magnet to the people who love you and want to pay you money just for being yourself. So, thank you for being here today. I will maybe see you tomorrow, but I get to do a really fun podcast on Monday. I can't wait to do. Found somebody else in the world that teaches a little bit about gene keys, like in a like not the same way as me, but she has her own point of view with it. So like I don't ever get to really talk to gene key readers. So we get to talk on Monday. I don't know when her podcast will be coming out, but I'll put it in my Instagram bio too. But, oh, you subscribed on YouTube. Yay. I've been doing more things on YouTube lately. Like I just record these lives at the same time. And then I always put my little short form content over there too. But all right. I hope you have the most beautiful rest of your day. I have 40 pages left, 40 pages left in the Throne of Glass series. If anybody else is like a Sarah J. Maas fan, I used to only read like fantasy series by male writers. And like I picked up her Throne of Glass series. She's the same writer as the Court of Thorns and Roses. And so I'm in the 7th book. Well, technically the 8th, because there was a prequel. I didn't read the prequel. I don't usually go back and read prequels if they come after. Don't tell. But I'm on the very last book. It's called The Kingdom of Ash. I have 40 pages left of a freaking 8-book series. And I'm like, oh my God. So that's going to be the rest of my afternoon, just finishing that in a heartbeat and watching something really cool. So I hope you have a beautiful weekend. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you. I got through all of the money motivators. I'm so proud of myself. After I start asking like or answering questions for a while, it's like, and so I love to make sure that I cover all the things, but like as usual, it doesn't matter like what comes through on these lives because truly I'm such a big believer. This is my little intuitive energy side, but I'm such a big believer that we hear exactly what we need to hear at the right time. And whether it is like that exact lesson that I was planning on talking about today, or it was like some of the questions that I answered for other people, like there is something in there for you to take, for you to run with, for you to just decide like, oh, I really, really like this thing now, or oh, I'm actually going to do the opposite. So use these gene keys as inspiration, use them as like they're not a rule book. They're not like written in stone. They're not written in blood. They're used for inspiration to help you be the best version of yourself online as you show up in your business so that you can attract the grooviest clients and you can make money doing the things that you love. So have a beautiful rest of your day.